Hi, everybody. This is Joanna. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this is another beautiful day of Ascension, healings, and wisdoms. Practical things that you can do to attune yourself with that renewed sense of self in your own inner strength, your own highest counsel, living from the higher self state of being and presence that you are as source, divine holy essence as beautiful multidimensional beings of light that is creating and manifesting matter. We are divine beings of spiritual light, of spiritual essence. And as that, understanding that and working with that alchemy of all that we are as spirit, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the etheric multidimensional bodies, we then get to understand how we move through healing processes. And today we're going to talk about healing through drama and traumatic relationships. Whether it's been a relationship with a family member, parents and spouses and partners and friends, and if they are constantly in drama, constantly in trauma, depending on where it's coming from and how long it's been, if it's a childhood wound, healing those experiences within, and an outline that I've come up with for myself in healing all of my experiences of wounds, the psyche wounds that we carry, the emotional wounds and the mental wounds that come with abuse and dysfunction at varying levels, and that we can also assist our children in returning to their whole self, returning to their sense of self within themselves, and not looking outside of themselves for the band-aid, if you will, that just continues and perpetuates lower vibrational cycles of separation, detachment, and limitation and fear. And this is where a lot of the pain and the trauma comes from, is when we partner with those that we care about and our hearts are open and loving and honoring of them. And yet there's aspects of our wounded whole self on both ends, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the etheric, that come with wounds that each one are responsible for triggering, if you will, in the way that we move about our everyday minutia. And we come with these triggers in any moment. It could be somebody at the coffee shop triggering you for an emotional wound or a psyche wound that is held within many timelines and lifetimes that you're living in this concurrent now. And why sometimes these triggers and these cyclical energies of healing come about, and you contract with one another when and how to trigger one another, because each person, as we always talk about, has a unique ascension cycle. The ascension cycle is contributing to when you awaken to certain informations and wisdoms and potentiality of who you are. Who are you? What do you exist within, and what exists within you? And these are timed alignment for you to awaken, to return to your whole self and center within, to know that you are valued, you're treasured, you're infinite, you're precious. How do you create and express and explore yourself as the experience of source? And that is the process of awakening. Know thyself, seek within. Anything that we think that we desire from another, whether it be our children, all the projections that we send our children for them to allow us to receive something from them, because our souls, each and every person on this planet, those empty aspects of our soul that we've been separated from source, we want others to fill for us, whether it's a mental fulfillment, an emotional fulfillment, a psychic or a physical fulfillment. And why so many of those traumas come with abandonment or betrayal or separation, any of those early childhood energies that not only are connected to this timeline, but are also connected to all of the other timelines that you and source exist upon. You as the soul of all that you are. Your soul has an infinite number of timelines and lifetimes from 3 to 5D that you're here as a soul, that you've contracted at to say, I want to heal this betrayal. And this betrayal is connected with 5 timelines. I want to heal this self-love, self-worth, and this is connected to 50 timelines, because those are basic human experiences through thousands of years of limitation and fear and separation that our collective psyche, the collective psyche wounds of separation and limitation and fear, that each and every one of us are here to heal. As we, as individuals of multidimensional beings, heal our own individual wounds, we heal the whole collective. And then we can release ourselves from, those outbursts of, those experiences that we create through reactive ego that we've seen in our collective, where they're outbursts of anger and aggression and bombardment and barbaric experiences. Those are lower egoic reactive fight or flight energies. So when we get to begin to know who we are and transform and transmute those deep wounds, we then begin to act from this centered presence where you're loving yourself and honoring yourself as this divine being of light, divine feminine, divine male. We're all healing those energies within our multidimensional bodies. We've each come within that soul contract to not only heal those soul wounds that are directly related to healing the masculine and the feminine body. The feminine body at any point in time, especially through a great healing and release, will move to that divine feminine experience through which that divine feminine wants to be received, wants to receive love, and wants to receive nurturing, wants to receive care, wants to receive the importance of who she is. That's a divine feminine experience. And this is why, in knowing your monthly cycle of ascension, usually connected with the moon cycles, and we're going to talk about that in a whole other separate video. So if you're tracking and you're journaling and you're doing your daily self-care that we always talk about, so that you're constantly returning to you, nothing outside of you, to heal your inner wounds, then you absolutely know that you're on the right path. Because you're not going to look at outside things and addictions and spontaneous ego need to fill what's really going on within you. Therefore, attracting a higher vibrational core of who you are, self-love, self-value, self-importance, and self-worthiness, because you know your source, you're loving you. All you need to receive from your benevolent life desires and the magical life that you want, it comes from within. Nothing outside of you can give you what we project or desire to receive from others. It has to come from within. And of course, it's never easy when you're going through, trauma and drama release, or experiences with relationships that continually karmically trigger, deep, deep psyche wounds. Especially for old souls of us that have been here forever. And we've experienced so many lifetimes. And with, some of us that are crystals and empaths, we come with double and triple missions. So we tend to overly give, and keep giving and giving and trying to fix everything on all realms, work environments, social environments, family environments. We're constantly moving around as if we're the ones that are supposed to fix it and heal it all for everybody. And meanwhile, 80% of the people that you're surrounded with just sit back and do nothing because they're not taking accountability for their inner wounds. And that's okay. But what that allows you to do is, if you're doing your daily self-care, to say enough. It's not my job to take on others' burdens. It's not my job to heal anybody else's wounds. It's not my job to make it right for anybody. It's not my right to show them how to create healing with their wounds. It's up to me to look after me, to be the best version of me that I can be. And in that, I set the vibrational example by living in this state of who I am as source, to know that my heart is valued, to know that I will no longer put up with lower vibrational experiences that we experience in trauma and drama and karmic experiences of back and forth, win, lose, blaming and shaming and gaming, when those games that are often karmic, because those karmic games are testing us, especially in this lifetime, the most important lifetime here on humanity, to step off that cycle of blaming and shaming and guilting and winning and losing and the whole thing that ego does. Because that's how that psyche is just patterned. It's coded patterns and programs. That's all it knows. It's been brought up with coded patterns and dogma in relationships, in what it sees in society, how women are defamed and demeaned and debased by their physicality and their beauty, when they're not seen for the intelligence and the brilliance and the leadership that they carry for who they are as source Christ experiences. So even at the earliest of ages, as the psyche understands itself within itself and outside of itself, how it understands its environment, it begins to take on these patterns that are directly related to the soul, to heal through choosing of oneself. I choose to step off this karmic pattern, and I choose to say, I'm not going to step on that experience any longer. And you choose at that higher self level, free will and free choice, that liberation to be sovereign within who you are, stepping outside of the roles and then traditions and the obligations and however it's been, whatever words we define, it doesn't matter. Because these subjugatory controls that we feel, especially as women, if we're in family circles or partnership circles, there's so many obligations that we feel, because those are the roles that we've been taught. We're coming with these codes and patterns to break out of them, to say it's not my responsibility to continue to hold everything together for everyone when nobody else is trying and nobody else cares and nobody else is putting anything into it. So whatever your family experience is, or your partnership experiences, or your friendship experiences, or your vocational experience is, because these traumas and dramas occur at every multidimensional experience. It could be an experience with your friendship or your work experience. It doesn't matter. When you feel as if your values and your morals are not being honored and respected, and this is why going in within every day and clearing your own multidimensional bodies every day, so that you're returning to your field of essence. You know that your mental body is cleared and free of any clutter that's not yours, any projections, any mental and emotional abuse that occurs. Clearing out your emotional body so that you're sitting with yourself every morning and every night to say, how am I feeling? And you're centering, you're opening up your higher light, pillar of light. You're calling in your codes, you're calling in your teams and your healing teams. And this is after you've done your clearing. You're clearing all the projections and all energy work that's been going on. If you're walking around in the streets and the crowds, taking on those energies if you're an empath, and why that daily clearing and that daily centering is so important. And then just tune into what you're feeling. That's allowing your mental body and your emotional body to work together. And as you do that, your physical body then cues in to show you where those holding on of energies are. And then your energetic body will also start tuning in as it starts to begin that communication process with your higher self and your teams through your higher vibrational chakras, and just feeling into where you're holding that density in your chakras and in your organs, because that does create later on, if not released on a regular process and you're not in tune with who you are, then that does create illness, imbalances mentally, egoic and psychic frailty or personality frailty, and that becomes then disorders if they're not having the full expression of those emotional pains and wounds. And why it's so important that having your daily self-care, so that you're not looking to those outside things that we used to do to feed those wounds, because that will just perpetuate deeper psyche wounds and deeper imbalance, which then perpetuates egoic reactive choices. And egoic reactive choices are usually done within those shadow energies, because we usually grab for those addictions, we usually grab for those tendencies when we're going through that ascension cycle through which a release is being done. And if that healing is not being looked at and communed with, and say, I honor this, this is my release cycle of my ascension cycle, I'm going through a release. And we'll talk about the different aspects of your cycle so that you understand. But there's usually always a few days a month where you're going through a release cycle, whether you're male or female, does not matter. Everyone is going through ascension releases. That's how you clear the density from all lifetimes from 3 to 5D. It's everyone's responsibility to be the ownership and the commander of sovereignty for their own light, for their own bodies, for their own mental health, for their own emotional health. Each and every one of us, it's our own responsibility. No one is to be projected onto, and I've had many of those experiences because I come as a light worker and people just know and see your light energetically. They subconsciously don't even know that. Some do. Some that are very keen at using, manipulation and those egoic games and those shadow games, they absolutely know that you're willing to take on a lot more than they are, because they know that those people that work in those energies, they get that game. And so they're willing to play those manipulation games so that they are scapegoating what their responsibilities are, because you're just doing it all and very efficiently. But that doesn't serve you in honoring who you are and having your heart and your needs be met on an emotional level, a mental level, and a physical level, and an etheric level, spiritual level. So it's really good that as you're doing your daily self-care, you can return to your highest counsel within, and in that attunement with your higher self and your teams will allow you to see through their communion with you. You're being taken advantage of. You need to stand in your power and say no. You're crossing boundaries here. This is how our relationship is going to work from now on. You've been disrespecting my heart. You've been disrespecting my needs emotionally. Your lies and the manipulations and the games that have been going on are no longer available or accessible with me as this person and divine essence. Because it's going against my moral values. That doesn't work with me. That's not how you treat friends even, let alone someone in a relationship. And so you tuning in with who you are, you get to set that new vibrational standard for how you and your circles will vibrationally commune and co-create together. But most of creation, I shouldn't say that, most of our human collective has never been taught how to commune and know themselves as source, because it's always been taught as separate. That should be one of the first things that we're all taught when we're born. Your undeniable source essence. You are spirit creating matter. And if we want to create imbalanced matter and chaos matter and fear and limitation through which ego reactions create drama and aggression and chaos, then that's that continued cycle of fear and limitation. We all have to move through these experiences of karma and fear and shadow work, being aware of it through that daily self-care, so you can say, okay, well, yesterday I did this. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? And then go back to that core issue. Well, I said that because I was in fear, because again, they took advantage of me and they didn't admit to the lies that they've been saying. No matter how many times I've asked, the lies are still being said. So that's disrespecting my heart. It's disrespecting me as a person. And then so you get to then have that communion time with your higher self. And then the higher self says, okay, well then close the door. No longer have that energetic give and take, because it's always taking and you're getting nothing in return. Because that's what lies do. Lies perpetuate that funneling of energy back to those that are perpetuating those experiences, because they don't know how to live within their truth. It's easier just to lie and manipulate so that they get all they want all the time, without being accountable for how that injures and damages those that they're in creation with. But that's their karmic lesson. But it's not your karmic, once you understand that karmic lesson, that you're now standing in your light and you're saying, I'm more important than that. I love myself more than to let you keep doing that to me. It doesn't feel good. You're dishonoring me in every way. And I've been giving to you all of this time, and it's causing drama and chaos in the house because I have to keep rebalancing when there's worry and there's drama going on, because there's lies that I absolutely know are going on, and yet you're telling me they're not. That's dishonoring of the sense of self of who I am. Because you're telling me there's nothing going on, and my sense of self is saying absolutely there is. So who am I going to trust? I'm going to trust spirit. I have a higher counsel, and then that person has to go and rebalance the house, because the kids are absolutely feeling those lies and the manipulations that go on. And of course you have to go through and heal your process, because you're being disrespected and you're being dishonored for the devotion that you're carrying and the energy that you're giving unconditionally and devotionally. And yet it's a game, and you can choose to say, no more games. I'm worthy of far better treatment than that. That's not okay. And then you get to stand in your power. You've learned that karmic lesson. As soon as you acknowledge it, you can say, I'm off this karmic experience. Then as soon as you do that, acknowledgement of what's been going on, acceptance, yes, I've been a part of this karmic gain and I'm not playing it anymore. I've said, close the story. I'm not being a perpetuating experience in the lies, the manipulations, and the gains, third parties, whatever it is. You're acknowledging and accepting that I've stood my truth and I've said, absolutely no, that doesn't align with my morals and my values of who I am as a respected honor of who I am. Stated it many times. Then the door is closed to that energetic cycle. You reclaim all of your power. You reclaim all of your light. You reclaim all of your voice, your heart, your emotions, all of the energy that you're giving. You reclaim all of that, and that door is closed. And then you allow, so acknowledgement, acceptance, and allowance, you're allowing for your renewed sense of self that, wow, that felt really good. I stood up for myself and I stood up for the benevolence of me, and I feel good because I'm honoring me, I'm loving me, I'm valuing me, and I feel really good about that. And I want to feel the love of who I am. Then you're feeding yourself, the soul and the spirit of all that you are, which you always should, but we've never been taught, coming from dysfunctional families, to love yourself and not go outside for anything that we think we need from others. Because if they can't love themselves by how they're behaving, then they certainly cannot give it to you at the level that you're seeking it and deserving of it. So that's where moment for moment for moment in the drama and the traumas of whatever it might be, and it could be an infinite number of experiences, the hidden lies and the shady co-creations and experiences, everybody can feel it in the energy field. But oftentimes it's not talked about, or even if it is, the games and the shadow stuff still continues, you know, until, you know, something comes up one day and then there's proof, and they're saying, okay, well, there's proof, and you've been totally taken advantage of and been taken from again and again and again, and made the fool again and again and again. And then you've got to go and repair every part of yourself because you've given yourself unconditionally to someone that didn't have that same level of care and honor for who you were as a giving soul. But the lessons are in that. Those are those karmic lessons that at the point where you're understanding that's a karmic experience where I wasn't standing in my power. You know, I didn't say no strong enough. I didn't walk out the door fast enough. I didn't say, stop it fast enough. And if you did, then they didn't hear it and didn't care and kept doing it anyways. And that's happened to so everything. There's so much that's come up this week about, because this is why I'm saying this. We're being bombarded and we are being accelerated very quickly on the path of light, the path of awakening. The awakening process is being bathed at a multidimensional level. You're being bathed in your dream time, your astral travel time. Your bodies are being bathed as we're speaking right now to clear out those densities, those emotional pains and wounds. So how do we deal with it in a way that honors the multidimensional essence of who you are as divine feminine, divine male? Wanting to love yourself whole, to create better life choices that are from the heart, so that you then vibrate and co-create and call in a higher vibrational reality. We're going through this because the accelerations of that light are speeding up, which means that we're going to go through quicker ascension cycles of release and transmutation to help heal one another through our relationships. And whether it's the child, to the mother. And usually, if you're coming with an experience of having to stand in your truth and speak your truth and to stand up for yourself, those are usually also regenerated to the children experiences. Because what the child sees from those couple relationships usually can be seen in the child to the adult relationships. Not in all, but in some. Because they're seen and they're behaving in ways that they've seen and behaved from the adults. Again, it's a perpetuation of limitation and fear. And they cause, trauma and damage, and I've been saying this for years. When we're not living from a place of truth, unconditional truth, there should be no reason for lies. And we've talked about this over and over and over again. The truth that you have within yourself. Who am I? I am loving, I'm honest, I speak my truth, I live with integrity, I'm doing as much as I can, as best as I can to live in my highest light so that I'm vibrating and I'm connecting with those that want to connect and change, make greater change for the world. I'm living from the space of love and honesty and who I choose to be in this life, to be the best version of me. And I want to be that representation and illumination for the children so that they see me being that fisher. I'm not telling them how to do things and how to be. I'm actually showing them how to live in their best truth for their expression and their exploration of who they are as source. To continually show up each day, to continually intend and know that light and love and potentiation of joy and happiness and abundance is possible. To create your own health, to create your own wellness, to create your own abundance. It's possible. You can take whatever dense experience and work your way through it energetically because it's alchemy. We're here to do that. We have all the gifts and the tools to do so. We don't need to go to any outside experience. However, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I would not recommend anyone to go through what I have gone through without getting professional help. And I did. I had very little, if any at all, professional help. I think I've had none professional help for everything that I've gone through. And when my full story does come out one day, most will be surprised at how I got through what I got through without professional help. Because it was so traumatic. So traumatic. But I absolutely know that I have the highest universal teams working with me, and I have come here as an old soul and an empath and a crystal, and I have thousands of beings that are working with me. But not everybody has that. That's why I'm creating these videos. I'm creating these videos to know that you are a divine Christed being, that you have that potentiation to be your highest multidimensional self. You have multidimensional bodies and systems of energy that assist you in aligning in your highest truth. chakras, your multidimensional bodies and your fields, that it's each and our responsibility to do that daily self-clearing. As soon as you get up in the morning, state 5 or 6 positive affirmations about what you want to feel within yourself today, how you want to express yourself as God, how you want to express yourself and experience yourself as love. State those really positive affirmations. Start talking to yourselves, and your cells start listening. You start reorientating and re-entraining. It's called entrainment. The Arcturians showed me about entrainment many, many years ago. How we're starting to entrain our bodies and our fields and our cells and our vortices of all that we are, the synapses, the telomeres, all that we are as a multidimensional biological being, matter, creating through our spirit. Our spirit is the entrain or is the director, is the drive or is the navigator of our essence. Our essence is creating that matter, and we can amend it, we can reprogram it, we can change it, we can heal our wounds. However deep and traumatic they are, you know, from my history, there was molestation and rape and many emotional and mental abuses. Those are experiences that are constant and daily. You know, doing your daily clearing out the chakras, calling in that highest Christed light, clearing out those emotional wounds. And after you've done the clearing of the chakras, and I've got videos for that on my YouTube channel on how to do a clearing every morning, sit with that 1 or 2 thing that you're going through. We're talking about relationships today. So take that one experience that you're wanting to place on the table to say, this is what I want to place on the table for this week. This week, I'm going to devote myself to working on healing my heart chakra from, you know, the dishonor that I experienced in this one relationship. Sometimes, especially in these accelerated times, we will be reawoken to childhood traumas along with whatever's triggering us in this now moment. It could be a friend that just keeps texting you and, you know, ticking you off by saying something that is, you know, sharp and dishonoring of you. It could be triggering to something that was earlier or from another timeline. Because remember, we're healing 3 to 5D. You know, if there's 6 timelines that you're healing on that one issue about speaking up for yourself, speaking your truth, honoring yourself, knowing that you're worthy to be spoken to with respect, you're worthy to be honored as a goddess, you're worthy to be honored as someone that's very intelligent and powerful and strong and kind and a leader. Whatever those issues are, your daily self-clearing will help you as you're journaling it to say, this has been coming up all week, this is what I'm clearing this week. And those clearings are 1 or 2 days that are really deep, where you're doing a lot of crying and you're releasing those deep traumatic wounds, because you're allowing yourself to say, this, I'm acknowledging the abuse, and the abuse wasn't okay. You know, it made me feel really sad. It made my body hurt. It made my heart hurt. It made me feel bad about who I was. Whatever that was, acknowledge it, you know, and write it down. However you want to create, however you want to move through that expression. It's really important to move that expression. Give yourself permission to acknowledge that pain and just feel it. It might be just bawling your eyes out. And those deep, deep traumatic wounds through emotional or mental abuse or physical abuse, I've showed in many of my videos how you lift your knees up while you're breathing through that pain. And it's really important that as you're breathing and lifting your knees up and breathing through that pain, you're not reliving the story, because that just keeps you on that cycle of reliving that experience. And so usually how it's worked for me is you're doing your morning clearing and you're clearing out your chakras, calling in your Christed breath. I am love, I am love, I am love. And you're grounding yourself to Gaia, ground to Gaia. You're opening up all your chakras. You're calling forward your emotional body, your mental body, your physical body, your etheric spiritual body. My higher self and my beautiful soul and all of my teams and my healing teams are here with me. They're bathing me with Christed light. I'm going to place this on the table. These energies that I keep rethinking about of all the lies that were told to me, I want to place this on my healing table to be cleared and cleansed. And I'm offering this to the holy creators. I'm offering this to the ancestors. I'm offering this to all of the beings that are helping me clear this. I choose to release this. I choose to let this go. I choose for my body. It's not helping me any longer. I've learned my lesson. I've acknowledged it. I've accepted it as a part of my story, to stand in my truth, to know that I'm worthy of greater. And this is now my allowance to let myself feel better, because I'm allowed to feel good. I'm allowed to feel the release of all the pain. I'm allowed to feel the release of the guilt that I was deserving of it, or that it was my fault that occurred. And I'm giving myself permission to let it go. And then you offer that up, and you'll be bawling at this point, you know, and just allow that just say, I'm releasing the pain of being disrespected and dishonored. I'm releasing it. Release the stories. Just sit with, I'm releasing, I'm releasing, I'm releasing, I'm releasing. And they're always gentle movements. They're always gentle, right? So again, if you have any lower back issues or any abdominal issues, when we're doing these little crunches and you're lifting your knees up, it can be just gentle lifting your knees up. You're releasing the cellular damage that's been done and hanging onto in your lower muscular structures, because those types of traumas, we take on that pain and it stays there. And that's why we're constantly walking around clenched all the time, because we know in those relationships, any word that is said that it's not in truth, those energies impact those organs. You might think it's silly and it's not true. And I'm saying, yes, it is absolutely true. I'm an empath, and I can feel when there's not truth and people are talking with you, you take on those mistruths at your belly. You take on those mistruths in your body, because any expression between two energies of spirit, and if those energies are not in unconditional love and trust and truth, then that exchange becomes fractured. It's like lightning in its density, because it's not truth. It's not in the honor of the pure spirit that we are. We've never been taught we were spirits, so nobody knows this. People walk around telling the stories they have to tell to make them feel who they are. And some of those stories are mistruth. Some of those stories are just to say what they need to say because they want people to accept them, or because they're not sure about who they are, because they want to get what they want to get. However those stories and reasons are, it's not for you to fix it. But it is for you to stand in your truth and say, that doesn't feel comfortable for me anymore. It makes me feel sick and ill, because I know that this is not an authentic divine connection, and it can be felt. It is no different than someone sending dark and negative energy at you. Mistruth and lies are the same energetic feeling. And I can feel every aspect of it. I have a very highly attuned system, and I know exactly what's going on. And why, you know, there's so much that I can teach about, because we have just more than the physical bodies. Who are we? What do we exist within, and what exists within us? We are multidimensional beings of light. And everything that we say, how we interact with one another, how we honor one another, if we're not within our honest, divine, full truth of being authentic and real and loving and caring and honoring of who we are, our vibration affects everybody that we entangle with. And that's called quantum entanglement. And that's why everybody else in the house begins to feel those energies of negativity and mistruth. And that becomes chaos. And then chaos has to stir more chaos, because it has to keep all the energies that it was lying about into control. So it just causes more chaos. Lies upon lies upon lies, because they're hard to keep track of. And then that one person that's awake going, okay, well, what the crap's going on? You know, I'm exhausted here trying to figure out what the heck's going on. All your kids need clearing every night, you know, because there's a few people living out of integrity. You know, it affects everybody. It affects everybody. And I've written about this so many times, and there's no judgment in it, but there is that point of accountability. You know, when one absolutely knows that they're not being authentic and truthful, at what point do we say, and look within, you know, at what point? Because it causes so much pain and so much damage. Because your bodies are all off. Your body is this beautiful essence of light, and your body is taking on darkness and negativity and lies. It's not honoring you. When you're not being honored, your body is affected. Your mental body is affected of who you think you are within yourself. If you got really strong boundaries and you're doing your daily self-work, you just reject it right away and it just bounces right back to them. But 95% of people are not there yet, because they've never been taught to stand in their truth, their power of who they are as source. So this is why I'm teaching what I'm teaching and offering what I'm offering. It is really important to know who you are as source. Who am I? What do I exist within? And what exists within me, so that I can be my highest and my best. So that no matter how people are acting outside of me, I can still honor them and appreciate them for their contribution to source's puzzle, because they're still source. But I can stand in my power of light and I say, you know what? My light's here, my body's here, my fields are here, and you cannot invest with me any longer. I will not invest in you any longer. Those cords are cut, walls are up, and I can observe from from a frequency in which I feel safe to observe within, and I get to choose how I entangle in that, because it's not serving me to entangle with someone that is not of integrity in any way. It's detrimental to my energy, to my light, to my beingness. And if one person does not respect you for wanting to be in integrity, then they're going to go and find other people to co-create with that will be at the similar vibration. And that's okay. They still need to learn those karmic rules of what you put out is what you get back. That's okay. We can't get to mastery unless we go through those minutiae. Every person is responsible for going within and saying, where am I at today? What am I feeling? How can I heal what I'm feeling within me? Because I really do, when I say something, I want to actually say it and mean it. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Be truthfully and authentically you. Who are you as source? What are your passions? What are you excited about? How can you allow all others to get that 100% authentic version of you, so that when you're spoken to, you absolutely know the vibration of truth. Truth is a vibration. Truth is an absolute vibration. I am absolute in who I am and what I say to be true. This is my vibration. Everything I've created, everything I've taught has been from my traumas that I have experienced. And I've created healing and learning systems on this. I've had zero contribution of anybody outside of me on this, other than the relationships that have assisted me in receiving who I am as my truth. Nobody's helped sit and make these up for me. They were channeled informations. This is my work. It's my healing system. And anyone that claims to have it outside of them to say it's their healing system is wrong. These are my channeled healing systems, and this is my work. And I'm offering it to humanity, and I'm offering my healing sessions, and I'm offering who I am as a contributor to seeing humanity arise to a higher frequency of who they are as divine sacred beings. We're sacred. We are so sacred. So sacred. So how can we be treated as sacred? Well, it begins with us. I'm going to treat myself sacred because I'm not going to look for you to fulfill something that I require myself. I am beautiful and I'm sacred, and I deserve to be treated as a beautiful, sacred vessel. I will not be lied to. I will not be manipulated. I will not be taken from. I will not be stolen from. I will not be whatever abuses that go on in any of the relationships that we have in any of our experiences. Because you get to set that choice. No. My walls are up, my teams are on it. Anything that is sent to me that is not divine and sacred, out you go, get sent right back in a bubble of love. You get to say no, my fields will not accept anything less than magnificence. Because I've stated that. I have dominionship and sovereignty over every aspect of my beingness. My consciousness is in my control. And I walk as Jesus, as my name is. I walk as the Holy Creator, as my name is, and I will be supported by the heavens, because I have the absolute birthright to walk in my sovereignty. I have the birthright to walk as my divine essence without being targeted in any way, because someone is uncomfortable with how you walk or how you speak or how you shine your light. You have that right. You have your civil rights to be who you are, to express who you are, to experience who you are, to explore who you are. And anything that you've created from that expression is rightfully yours. You have that right. And to claim it. Yes, I claim this. This is my stuff. I've done this. This is me. There's been nobody with me creating this except for the illustrator that I've created with and my website person. It's fully my heart into that work. I've put my heart into that work. There's been nobody sit with me to contribute to any of it. Nobody, except my illustrator and those that I link with on those documents. Everything that I've created. And I get to claim that. I get to say, wow, all of these years going through what I've gone through, now I understand, because our humanity needs it. Our humanity needs different healing tools that they can reach out to and say, wow, I've been trying to heal this for years. Nobody's taught me this. And they just go to, infinite years of counseling. Well, that's okay. That counseling only connects with one or two aspects, right? Counseling doesn't understand the multidimensional bodies that we are. We're infinite beings that are working through infinite lifetimes. We're healing 3 to 5D. And we're not saying this in judgment of any profession at all, because what I've gone through, I absolutely should have gone to outside help to get that support that I didn't have. I went through every aspect of it by myself. There was nobody there. And I don't recommend that, not at all. It was so hard. It was so hard. So hard. So hard. So be okay reaching out. So, to say that I just need a person to talk to once a week. You know, and I do healing sessions because I understand the multidimensional complexities of what you go through. And I do have, when I tap into, call in the Christ of consciousness, when we call in those energies and we call in those teams, we work through the blocks that you're working with. And they sometimes show me, more often than not, they show me the Akashic experiences so that you know what that block is so you can overcome it. And the best way to heal yourself is through that forgiveness factor. So by acknowledging it and accepting it as part of your story. Yes, I've had to go through this. It was a hard experience, but I love them unconditionally because they helped me stand in my truth. They helped me see my own self-worth. They helped me see that I'm worthy of 100% truth. And that part of that truth that they help reflect one another, because remember, we come with soul contracts at the highest higher self level. It's unconditional love. We're all one. They've at the higher dream level and the higher spirit level, you're all talking to each other saying, okay, tomorrow I'm going to trigger you in this because you really need to work on this. And then we come back into our everyday life, awake state, a lower consciousness state, because we're all not living from this heart space yet. We're not living in our higher mind's state of being yet. We're all being still triggered from ego. At this physical state where we just think of physical personalities, we can't talk to one another, we can't, all the little games that are played because we're not free with, you know, feeling who we are emotionally and mentally and physically and etherically as spirit. There's still so many games going on, and lack of self going on, that we trigger one another. But at that higher level, we understand that tomorrow I'm going to trigger you, you're going to trigger me, and we're going to start healing ourselves, not to heal one another. Those are just the reflectional stories that we come to tell each other, to say, okay, I'm going to go in, what am I doing here? Now, if you have a partner through which you're both agreeing that, you know, we have an amazing relationship, I want to work on this with you, we're being accelerated as a collective, we're being bathed in light as a collective, we're both awake, we both want to work on each other, we both want to help each other be our best, because sometimes those soul partners can help one another do that. Can say, okay, well, this is my release time of the month. I know that I'm going to be going through a release. So don't be offended by, you know, I'm just going to have a couple of days to myself. I'm going to go and have my salt baths. I'm going to go do things for me. I'm going to have a massage. I'm going to treat myself and soothe myself and self-honor myself. So you get to know one another's cycles, because he will have it just as much as you will, or she, or however your partnerships are set up. You're going to go through those minutiae, and usually you will not have the same release experiences because you're there to support one another. You're going to support them while they're going through their release, and they'll support you while you're going through yours. Can I get you any more salt for your bath? And you start those healing relationships. That's what we will be eventually working towards, fifth dimensional relationships. But right now, there's just so much karma being exposed. There's so much karma that's being expunged, so much karma being purged, that it's like, okay, well, holy crap. You know, there's so many transitions that are going in families and friends and friend circles, because people are at different consciousness levels. People want different accelerated experiences for their soul. And they need to move on. Their souls need to move on, and sometimes won't often wait for the karma that others are working through. They don't have to wait. You know, they don't have to wait, you know, not to compromise their light and their soul's experience. But there's many of us, you know, like I've been holding back on my specific path, you know, due to the healing for the family that we've been going through, and I've been holding myself back and compromising my light. You know, and my team's just finally said, enough is enough. This has got to end. You know, this needs to start moving here because you've got other things you need to do. And so your teams will tell you when you're working through those daily self-clearings, you know, and then that's why staying in your power and your own counsel, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what's going on around you and what others want of you or feel obligated of you or demand of you. That doesn't matter. You're returning to your highest counsel. Well, my team say it's time for me to leave. My team say that I've done as much as I can do here. My team say that this is in my highest interest and this is what I will do. I will follow my highest counsel, because in that, the all are served. Because as you go and be the fisher of you, you're showing others, okay, well, it's now time for me to get on my stuff. Holy cow. You know, they're not going to learn if you're still there managing every aspect of light rebalancing and emotional rebalancing and whatever it is that you're doing as that light person. We often need to walk away to allow all others their highest gift to be the master of who they are. They can't be the master if you're still there being that crutch to always rely on in whatever way that you're doing it. Because even at a subconscious level, you're still being that one that's holding everything up, because they know you can and they take advantage of it, oftentimes unknowingly. But it's just the programs we come with, right? There's nobody at fault. You know, once you acknowledge it, say, okay, this game's stopping. No, no more getting on that wheel. Done. Gate closed. No access. Then you have that right to say, I'm done. I'm not going to play this game anymore. Then you can both choose to say, okay, well, what part are you going to play? You can choose to do that. And then you can choose to say, you know, there's just been too much pain. It's too far gone. You know, I don't want to walk that way anymore. And there's an infinite number of, you know, choices and experiences that you can do to manage your highest and your best, because that's what your role is, to say, how can I heal me? How can I be the best version of me? How can I allow all of these experiences to be what they were, and the blessing that they were, the silver lining in everything? I can seek the light and the truth in all things. It's allowing me to know that I can return to my center, and I can hear and know and act upon my guide's wisdoms, my highest and my best. I am the divine driver. I am the driver of my destiny. I am sovereign in my light and in my bodies, and I absolutely know who I am and how my decisions and my choices create my reality. And forgiveness for myself, for all of the guilt that I allowed myself to take on from others' games. The blaming and the shaming that I took on that I had no idea I was even taking on until you're sitting doing your clearing years later, and you still got all this junk in your chakras and in your bodies from people projecting stuff at you because they wanted you to be a certain way. And you took on those projections and those energies from thought forms of people walking around wanting you to be it all and do it all for them. And again, people don't even understand they're doing it, but they're just the patterns from what they come from, traditions, dogma. You know, when they're not finding their solace within themselves, it's projected out into the world. And then it becomes even more imbalanced if there's mental and emotional imbalances, and they start beginning the games of, you know, lying and all of those other things that occur in the karmic cycles, because it's shadow. They're choosing from that shadow place. They're living from that shadow place where they don't feel they're enough. They don't feel they're valued enough to be truthful in their authenticity or to love themselves in their authenticity, whatever their reasons are that they have to go in and seek. You know, why do I feel the need to lie? Where does this come from? And how can I be accountable for it? How can I make it right? How can I make it right for me first? Because then when you make it right for you first, you make it right for everybody. And then not everybody is walking around feeling the tension and the energetic, you know, the elephant in the room kind of thing, because that's what occurs. That's quantum entanglement. If there's mistruth, it's felt within the circle, and everybody can feel it. When your bodies are awake, your subtle and emotional fields are turned on, you can feel it. When someone's standing in front of you and they're telling you a story, and if there's part of that story that's not truthful, then you can feel that mistruth. It's a vibration. You can feel it. Just as somebody sitting in front of you telling a beautiful, authentic story from their soul. That's truthful. It's an authentic truth. So allow yourself to get used to, aligning to unconditional love and truth for who you are. Again, we all need these experiences to become the masters of who we are, to reclaim who we are as pure love, to reclaim the ease and the blessing that forgiveness provides, to have compassion for everyone's story. Everyone is going through their carnage, if you will, of eons of karmic experiences, and they're clearing it for lineages. So there's no judgment on anybody at any particular point in their path. Offer compassion, forgive it all. Forgive it all, forgive it all, forgive it all, forgive it all, forgive it all. And many of those challenges that we come with, especially sometimes why some are so hard to heal, is because many of us have had to create that closure for ourselves. You know, we've had to create the closure for why things happened the way they did, or healing it within yourself, you know, when the childhood traumas are linked to right now traumas. And we have to create closure for ourselves, because sometimes those people aren't even around anymore. Or sometimes those people, you know, are not healthy and not well, you know, and having those conversations to create balance and healing with are not viable. But you can give closure to yourself to say, I'm done with this story. I can't carry this around anymore. It's just density. It doesn't feel good in my body. I choose consciously to release this density. I choose consciously to release this pain. I choose consciously to give myself closure on this issue. I'm asking the teams and the guides to please provide me with the healing that I need to close this issue for good. And then you just sit and just focus on forgiveness at your heart. I forgive myself. I forgive them. I forgive myself. I forgive them. And for 5 minutes, minimum of 5 minutes. Just focus the intention of forgiveness and unconditional love for that one issue. You know, if it was, say, lies, you know, if that really dishonored your heart and it hurt you, and there was things that stemmed off from those lies, because we all know that one lie trickles off a whole bunch of other stuff. So whatever it might be, just say, I'm gonna heal, and I'm gonna forgive all the lies that were told in this experience, because now I find it hard to trust. Now I find it hard to even, you know, trust, you know, myself or going forward in anything. So you want to heal that trust issue. I'm going to heal this trust issue today because of all the lies from all of the experiences. And just once a week, work on 1 or 2 issues and heal those. You know, 3 days, work on trust and forgiveness. And 5 minutes of just forgiving. You're going to feel an incredible difference. And of course, you absolutely will cry because you're purging what's no longer required. And that's a good thing. You're calling all of those deep wounds up from your psyche, your emotional field, your mental field, your physical field. Because remember, when we're carrying around those energies of dishonor, it's a dishonor to the spirit. When someone is not truthful to your spirit, it's a dishonor of the spirit. That's how it's shown to me in energy. Because we're multidimensional beings, physical, mental, emotional, and etheric, these densities, these darknesses, they're like little pockets of mud. And they stay within whatever field that sits within. You know, if it was verbal abuse, you know, mental abuse, physical abuse, whatever it was, it sits as pockets of mud. And they sit there as just heaviness, it's weightedness. And that's when you feel depressed or suppressed, because it's sitting in you. And you got to give it permission to get out. Okay, you've been in me for far too long. I'm working on this. I'm calling light to my chakras. I'm breathing. I'm reaching up for light. I'm calling it in. All right, whatever's ready to come forward, come on, out you come. I'm giving you permission to come forward today. You're ready, you've sat within me for long enough. I'm giving you permission to come forward, come on out. And you just call that density forward, and your teams will bring it forward. I ask my higher self, I said, okay, higher self, bring whatever needs to come out. And my higher self will start to connect with my multidimensional bodies, and it will bring forward an experience. And then I will tune into what that experience was residing to. And it will, most often than not, as I've written about in my books, will connect to 2 or 3 things that occurred that week, because that's your clearing cycle. That's why you feel what you feel. But when you're awake and attuned through your Ascension, daily self-care, you get to go through your week and say, okay, well, that's come up twice now. So I know there's going to be a clearing in the next couple of days about this one issue, about self-love, self-trust. What is your worthiness? Are you willing to trust source that you have an absolute path without something being outlined for you? You know, that's that safety factor, root chakra. Yes, I do have that. I absolutely know source has got things going for me. All I have to do is keep acting my excitement. Source is going to bring it to me. Okay, so that trust level, that trust thing is cleared and healed. So that trust can work in a multidimensional layered way. It can work within your path forward, the unknown, because spirit is working these paths for you, not ego. And those trust issues also come in there. Well, yes, because I've had so much energy of things not working out for me. Now I've got to trust spirit unconditionally. Yes, I absolutely trust spirit. That's how you know you're progressing as a soul. Because spirit will say, you can do anything. You need anything, here we are, boom. But you've got to believe it. You've got to know that for yourself. That's that daily self-care. Yes, I know myself. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I've come here to create. I know that I've got things out there in the vortices, in the vortex, in the omnipresence. Nothing can stop me. No one can stop me. I'm in absolute control of my bodies and my intentions. I'm vibrating in unconditional love. I'm releasing and forgiving every day. I thank everybody for all their blessings and for all the great energies and the lessons they brought me. It's allowed me to become my fullest self. I'm standing in my fullest self. Here we go. You start co-creating from this point of knowing who you are, releasing what was, choosing anew, and creating anew. Releasing what was, choosing anew, creating anew. And then setting boundaries on what's no longer acceptable, you know, every day or every week. Set your self-care intention. You know, when I sense a lie, I'm going to call someone on it. I'm going to call judgment on it. And then we're going to resolve it right when it comes up so that they know they can trust. The communion between us is unconditional and it's trusting. That's how you build sacred relationships. Unconditional love and trust. It's sacred. I sacred your soul. I sacred who you are as a human being that's creating. I'm sacred with you. I will not lie to you. I'm absolutely in my heart space with you. And I honor you as a spirit. And I won't lie to you. I honor you. And that's how you begin to treasure one another and be sacred with one another. And it's practice, because we've never been taught these things. So be okay with every point on the journey. Every point on the journey is a gift. No matter how challenging and hard it is, trust me, I know. Every moment is a gift. And you can say, wow, this is a blessing. What's the divine relationship in it for me to pull out what I need? And I'm not responsible for them and what they need. That's up to them to do. And they can go and work on it for themselves. And I give them compassion, and I empathize with where they're at, because I've been there too. But I absolutely will not take it on for them. And I absolutely will not entangle with those energies. Because you can feel it just doesn't feel good. Then you begin co-creating from your integrities, your values, on what you want to create each day, because you're doing your inner work. You get to vibrate at a higher level to say, this is what I'm attracting in now. And I'm absolutely aware of my fields. I'm absolutely aware of my bodies. I'm creating greater health. I'm creating greater light. And I'm attracting in greater vibrational experiences. And you'll be supported in every way. Every team, every member, every guide, every healer will be with you to clear and heal what you're asking. Make no mistake about it. And you'll get to create those sacred experiences. I'm absolutely sacred with you. I'm so excited to be with you. I'm excited to know who you are. I'm excited to know how you co-create and you express as yourself. You know, what do you want to co-create together? Because your souls have been threaded together through divine experience. And you get to treat each other with sacredness. You know, not through the misrepresentation of, you know, egoic karmic games. You get to step off that wheel if you so choose. I choose to step off this karmic cycle of continuing to eat food that's not good for me. I choose to step off this karmic wheel of creating a relationship that doesn't make me feel good, or continuing to buy into negative media, you know, whatever it is. Choose to step off. Choose now. I am worthy of such better entertainment. Oh my gosh. If I'm watching entertainment that demeans divine feminine, if I'm watching media that, you know, encourages violence and aggression, how is that choosing me as sacredness? I'm not judging myself. I'm absolutely bringing awareness and acknowledgement to, I want to be sacred, which means that I choose to watch sacred entertainment that makes me feel as if I'm sacred, or getting to know myself as sacred, or seeing someone else's perspective on sacred. How can we learn to be sacred? We're healing our entire collective through our relationships, and they're absolutely at the highest level helping one another. We just don't see it at this physical level because we're usually working from the lower mind that doesn't see everybody as love. We're all one family. We are all brothers and sisters helping one another seek the highest level of self-love for who we are. So take 5 minutes a day just through working on self-love and forgiveness, because everyone without exception is here to create greater self-love through the forgiveness of thyself and others, and just owning and honoring who you are as love, and forgiving everything. Forgiving it. You've run that same story over your head 10 times. Okay, I forgive it. I want to let this cycle go. Ask for the highest guidance to assist you in letting this negative cycle of rerun energies, let it go. Cut that thread, cut it. And you will have Archangel Michael and all of the angels help you cut those threads and cords. They don't want you to keep running around in cycles that don't feel good for you. You've learned your lesson, you've acknowledged it, you've accepted the lesson for you. You start trusting yourself that source has got your back, you've got your back, more importantly. That's why we're all here. You're sovereign, independent beings. That's what Jesus taught. I don't want you to follow me and cherish me and put me up on a pedestal. You are me. Start creating. Create a spirit. You are spirit. So this is what we're all here to learn. Renew of the spirit and of the sense of self, and let no one or no thing tell you who you are and what you're worthy of. No, you get to set your standards and your morals and your integrity. And if there's those that challenge you on those because they're still operating in karmic cycles, you can take yourself off and create that vibrational gate so that you're not affected and your energy is not entangling with it. And you can just observe from a distance and send light. You don't have to be entangled in it. You can choose. No, that's not where I am. I'm over here working in a different way because I value and I love myself. And it means more to me to be truthful, because that's how I create sacredness with me. Because I know if I'm sacred with me, I can absolutely feel when it's not sacred. That's the whole point. When you are sacred and loving and honoring with you, you're telling yourself absolute truth. You're living in your absolute truth. Your vibration is truthful. When your words come out, it's truth. You can feel it. When you're talking with your kids and you're exchanging a truthful experience of your love for them and their love for you, you can feel that vibration. It'll bring you to your knees. Every parent knows that. When you're communing at a vibrationally truthful experience, that is spirit. Your heart, your soul is spirit, your truth. 100% truth. Anything that comes into your environment that's not truth, you will absolutely know. Why? Because you're honoring you as truth first. And it's a vibration. It's unbreakable and it's undeniable. And those that speak with you and those that honor you and those that want to commune with you and co-create with you, they will feel your vibration of truth. It's from the center of your body. It's from the center of your soul to say, yes, I'm truth. I live my excitement. This is who I am. You know, yeah, I get excited. Yeah, I get vibrant. Yeah, I get, you know, vivacious. This is who I am. I'm okay with it. I'm not going to dim to fit in because there's others that are uncomfortable with it. That's okay. I'm okay with them being uncomfortable with it. I'm not taking on their discomfort. You know, empaths tend to do that. Oh, I'm taking on your discomfort. Okay, well, I'm going to feel smaller in myself because you're not comfortable with me shining. And then you feel bad about yourself. No, clear out those energies and projections. It's not mine, right? You don't have to take it on. So just stand in your truth. Every day, work on love and forgiveness because your forgiveness helps others, right? You're standing in your power. You just got to love yourself. I'm just going to forgive myself today. And I'm going to forgive everything that happened every moment before up till now. And just do it for a week straight and see how you feel. We love you, dear lighted ones. Anybody that wants to donate, the links are down below. We love you so much. Thank you so much for all of your love and all of your appreciation for who we are as divine beings of holy light. And we love you and we rainbow you always. Check out our Facebook page for all of our illustrations for help with healing and love and self-honoring of who you are as the Holy Christ. Thank you, dear lighted ones. I rainbow you. Bye.